Some amazing black bands that left their mark on music emerged in the 1970s and 1980s. These bands, from Maze's funk to the Deal's rock sound, shot to fame. But why did they abruptly disappear? Come along with us as we examine the 25 black bands from the 1980s that disappeared completely. The well-known R&B group Atlantic Starr was founded in White Plains, New York in 1976. In addition to Sharon Bryant, Porter Carroll Jr., Clifford Archer, Joseph Phillips, William Sutter III, and Damon Renty, the original members were brothers David, Wayne, and Jonathan Lewis. They rose to fame in the 1980s thanks to hits like Always, Secret Lovers, and Circles. They became well known in the R&B industry thanks to their romantic songs and mellow harmonies. The band underwent numerous lineup changes in spite of their success. Barbara Weathers took Sharon Bryant's place in the group after she left in 1984 to pursue a solo career. Despite continuing to release hits, Atlantic Starr's popularity started to wane in the early 1990s. The group is not as well known as they once were, and their music is no longer as widely accepted, even though they still perform with some of the original members. In what ways did Troop become well known in the late 1980s? Next, let's examine their journey. In 1987, the New York City-based American soul and R&B group The Family Stand was founded. V. Jeffrey Smith, Sandra Street Victor, and Peter Lord Moreland were the founding members. Their 1990 single Ghetto Heaven, which peaked at number 10 on the UK singles chart, was their first big hit. They created a powerful sound by fusing hip-hop, funk, rock, and soul. The band struggled with internal dynamics and label support despite their early success. Although their 1991 album Moon in Scorpio received positive reviews from critics, it wasn't a commercial success. Joxy McGee took Sandra St. Victor's place after she left in 1995 to concentrate on her solo career. The group took a break in 1999 after releasing the album Connected in 1997. A reunion tour and the 2007 release of their album Super Soul Nova followed the original lineup's 2006 reunion for a performance in Central Park, New York. In 1981, the American R&B and funk group The Deal was founded in Cincinnati, Ohio. The original members were Kevin K.O. Robertson, Darnell D. Bristol, Stanley Stick Burke, Carlos Satin Green, Antonio L.A. Reed, and Kenny Babyface Edmonds. In the 1980s, the band rose to fame thanks to hits like Body Talk and Two Occasions. They gained popularity in the R&B industry, thanks to their music's catchy beats and silky vocals. Babyface and L.A. Reid left in 1988 to concentrate on their careers as producers and songwriters. Despite their success, the original lineup of the group ended as a result of their departure. In 1993, The Deal made an attempt to get back together without Reid and Edmonds, but they were unable to achieve the same level of success. Despite their brief resurgence, they were never as well known as they were at the beginning. In the 1970s, the Philadelphia soul group, The Stylistics, rose to fame with hits like Wow, You Make Me Feel Brand New, and Betcha by Golly. Russell Tompkins Jr., Herb Merle, Arian Love, James Smith, and James Dunn were among the group's original members in 1968. The Philadelphia soul genre was defined in part by their music, which was dominated by Tompkins' distinctive falsetto voice. Even though they were very successful, problems started to appear by the late 1970s. Their main producer, Tom Bell, who greatly influenced their sound, ceased working with them in 1974. Even though they were still performing well in the UK, this change caused their popularity in the US to decline. James Dunn and James Smith left the group by the early 1980s, and the original lineup gradually began to change. Their early hits are still recognizable in spite of these modifications. The American R&B group Troop was founded in Pasadena, California in 1987. Steve Russell, Alan McNeil, John Harold, Rodney Benford, and Reggie Warren were the original members, all of whom had been friends since childhood. With their debut single, Mamacita, which peaked at number 2 on the Billboard R&B chart, they immediately became well-known. Hit tracks like Spread My Wings and All I Do Is Think of You from their second album, Attitude, both peaked at the top of the R&B charts. Troop had success in the late 1980s and early 1990s, but they encountered difficulties when musical preferences shifted. 3 of their 5 albums went gold and 1 was certified platinum. As members concentrated on their individual endeavors and other interests, the group took a hiatus by the mid-1990s. With the death of Reggie Warren in 2021, the band experienced a devastating loss that signaled the end of an era. Famous for their silky harmonies and timeless hits like Didn't I Blow Your Mind This Time and La La Means I Love You, the Delphonics were a soul group from Philadelphia. Randy Kane, William and Wilbert Hart, and later Major Harris joined the band when it first started in 1965. With its opulent arrangements and poignant lyrics, their Tom Bell-produced music contributed to the development of the Philadelphia soul genre. They were very successful in the late 1960s and early 1970s. You're gonna need me, gonna want to hug me. Topping the charts and obtaining gold records. The group underwent changes by the middle of the 1970s, with Tom Bell moving on to other endeavors and Randy Kane departing in 1971. Members of the Delphonics eventually went solo as their popularity waned. Wilbert Hart began his own version of the group, carrying on their tradition, while William Hart maintained the name by performing with new members. The well-known American R&B and hip-hop group Full Force was founded in Brooklyn, New York in 1976. In addition to their cousins Baby Jerry, Shy Shy, and Kurt TT, the original members were brothers Paul Anthony, Bow-Legged Lou, and B-Fine. Their distinctive fusion of hip-hop, R&B, and New Jack Swing helped them gain popularity in the 1980s. When they produced the hit song Roxanne, Roxanne for the band UTFO in 1984, it was their big break. For Lisa Lisa and Cult Jam, Full Force also wrote and produced hit songs like I Wonder If I'd Take You Home and All Cried Out. They also had hits of their own, including Temporary Love Thing and Alice, I Want You Just For Me. Full Force's popularity began to decline in the 1990s as musical trends shifted despite their early success. In their heyday, they made millions of dollars from their work and had a significant impact on music. The vibrant disco and funk group Instant Funk was founded in Trenton, New Jersey in 1975. Kim Miller on guitar, Scotty Miller on drums, and Raymond Earl on bass were among the original members. The group rose to fame with the 1979 single, I Got My Mind Made Up, You Can Get It Girl, which peaked at number 1 on the disco and R&B charts. Additionally, it peaked at number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100. They were well known during the disco era because of their upbeat rhythms and memorable grooves. Additionally, Evelyn Champagne King, the O'Jays, and Lou Rawls all had Instant Funk as their backup band. As musical tastes evolved in the 1980s, the band found it difficult to remain relevant despite their success. Instant Funk disbanded by 1985, and its members went on to work on other projects. The group's era came to an end in 2017 with the death of Scotty Miller. One of the most well-known bands of the 1970s was Earth, Wind and Fire, which Maurice White founded in 1969. Michael Beale, Wade Flemons, Don Whitehead, Yaakov Ben Israel, Sherry Scott, Leslie Drayton, Alexander Thomas, Chester Washington, Maurice White, and his brother Verdine White were the original members of the band. The group had popular songs like September and Shining Star, and was renowned for fusing various musical genres, including jazz, rock, funk, and soul. The band underwent numerous changes over the years. Due to health issues, Maurice White stopped performing in the 1990s and died in 2016. Wade Flemons and Roland Bautista were among the other founding members who also died. Under the name Earth, Wind and Fire, Ralph Johnson, Philip Bailey, and Verdine White continue to perform with new members. The band still performs for their fans, and their influence on music is still felt today. With their thrilling live performances, the Ike and Tina Turner Revue had a significant influence on the 1970s. Ike Turner and his wife Tina Turner led the group when it first formed in 1960. They were well known for their upbeat performances, which were further enhanced by Ike's band, the Kings of Rhythm, and the Ikettes, who provided backing vocals. Their greatest hits were River Deep, Mountain High, Proud Mary, and Nutbush City Limits. They were successful in their careers, but they had a troubled personal and professional relationship. Tina became famous due to her amazing voice and stage presence, but Ike seriously mistreated her behind the scenes. As a result, their personal and professional lives parted ways in 1976. Tina became a solo superstar after their breakup, while Ike struggled with personal and legal matters until his death in 2007. In 1954, the well-known soul group, The Spinners, was formed in Ferndale, Michigan. Hits like I'll Be Around and Could It Be I'm Falling in Love helped them become well-known in the 1970s. The original members of the group were Philippe Wynne, Bobby Smith, Purvis Jackson, Billy Henderson, and Henry Fambro. They gained popularity in the rhythm and blues music scene thanks to their catchy tunes and silky harmonies. Over the years, the group encountered challenges in spite of their achievements. The band's lineup underwent numerous changes after Philippe Wynne left in 1977 to pursue a solo career. The original members started to leave or die by the 1980s. Purvis Jackson passed away in 2008, and Billy Henderson was kicked out of the group in 2004. Henry Fambro retired in 2023, and Bobby Smith performed until his death in 2013. The band's legacy and music brought in millions of dollars. In 1979, the all-female pop, R&B, and funk group Climax was founded in Los Angeles, California. Joyce, Fenderella, Irby, Lynn Malsby, Robin Greider, Cheryl Cooley, Bernadette Cooper, and Lorena Porter Shelby were among the original members. In the 1980s, they became well-known thanks to songs like Meeting in the Ladies' Room and I Miss You. Their music was renowned for its powerful messages of female empowerment and catchy melodies. The band encountered challenges despite their success, such as internal strife and the evolving music business. The original lineup began to shift by the late 1980s, and the group struggled to maintain the level of success they had previously enjoyed. After splitting up in 1989, they briefly reunited for special performances in the early 2000s. Climax's distinctive style had a long-lasting effect on the music industry throughout their career, inspiring upcoming musicians and highlighting the power of women in the industry. Although Climax left a lasting legacy, what about the influence of Full Force? Next, let's examine their impact. The Italian-American post-disco group Change was founded in 1979 by Mauro Malavasi and Jacques Fred Petrus. Songs like A Lover's Holiday and The Glow of Love, which featured Luther Vandross's vocals, helped them gain popularity in the early 1980s. They were unique in the dance music scene because of the way their music blended disco, R&B, and funk. Despite their success, they had to deal with shifting music trends and lineup changes. Other key members eventually left the group, including Luther Vandross, who left in 1981 to concentrate on his solo career. By the middle of the 1980s, despite the group's continued musical output, their popularity began to wane. After breaking up in 1986, Change reunited for a brief period in the 1990s and then again in 2018 with new members. Their memorable hits and musical contributions are still important in spite of the difficulties. Soul and R&B group, the main ingredient, rose to fame with their 1972 hit song, Everybody Plays the Fool. In 1964, Donald McPherson, Tony Sylvester, and Luther Simmons Jr. formed the group in Harlem, New York. The new lead singer was Cuba Gooding Sr., following McPherson's untimely death in 1971. Songs like Just Don't Wanna Be Lonely and Happiness Is Just Around the Bend helped the group achieve great success in the 1970s. They gained popularity in the R&B industry thanks to their soulful sound and silky harmonies. As the music industry changed, the group's lineup underwent some changes, which made it more difficult to stay on top. Cuba Gooding Sr. rejoined the group for reunions after departing in 1977 to pursue a solo career. In 2017, he passed away, ending a chapter in the group's history and the original lineup. In 1982, the American R&B group Ready for the World was founded in Flint, Michigan. Gerald Valentine, drums, John Eaton, bass, Willie Triplett, percussion, Gregory Potts, keyboards, Gordon Strozier, guitar, and Melvin Riley, vocals, were the original members. The band's 1985 single Oh Sheila, which peaked at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, catapulted them to fame. Other songs like Love You Down and Digital Display were also successful. Their music featured smooth vocals and catchy melodies that blended R&B, funk, and new jack swing. The band struggled to maintain their popularity despite their early success. Their demise by the early 1990s was caused by internal problems and changing musical tastes. After splitting up in 1991, they briefly got back together in the 2000s to play and record new songs. Their music had a lasting influence on the R&B scene despite the ups and downs. In 1965, the Washington, D.C.-based soul music trio The Moments was founded. With hits like Love on a Two-Way Street and Sexy Mama, they rose to fame in the 1970s, showcasing their poignant R&B ballads and silky harmonies. Al Goodman, Billy Brown, and Harry Ray were the group's founding members and were well known in the genre for their romantic style. Legal issues forced the group to change their name to Ray, Goodman, and Brown in 1978, and they found success with songs like Special Lady. I've got something to tell you. Harry Ray went off to pursue a solo career in 1982, but he eventually came back before dying in 1992. Even though new members joined and performances went on, the original group's popularity dwindled over time. The cherished R&B group came to an end in 2010 with the death of Al Goodman, and in 2016 with the stroke of Billy Brown. The Force MDs were a well-known hip-hop and R&B group founded in 1981 in Staten Island, New York. Brothers Stevie D and Antoine T.C.D. Lundy, their uncle Jesse Lee Daniels, and their friends Charles Mercury Nelson and Trisco Pearson were the original members. Their soulful hits, such as Tender Love, Love is a House, and Tears, helped them gain popularity. They were important figures in the new jack swing movement because of their music, which fused hip-hop beats with doo-wop harmonies. The group experienced a number of setbacks in spite of their success in the 1980s. Antoine Lundy died of Lou Gehrig's disease in 1998, and Charles Nelson died of a heart attack in 1995. Their popularity declined as a result of these devastating losses, as well as changing musical tastes. Notwithstanding these difficulties, the Force MD's distinctive sound and contribution to R&B and hip-hop have left a lasting musical legacy. The renowned funk and soul group The Commodores was founded at Tuskegee Institute in Alabama in 1968. Lionel Richie, Thomas McClary, Walter Orange, Ronald LaPred, Milan Williams, and William King were all part of the original group. Their hits in the 1970s included Easy, Brick House, and 3 Times a Lady. As a vital member, Lionel Richie contributed significantly to the band's success. The original lineup ended when Richie left the band in 1982 to concentrate on his solo career. Other members began to leave as well. Ronald LaPred left in 1986, and Thomas McClary left in 1983. The Commodores could only achieve a different degree of success, even though they kept performing with new members. Although the group has changed over the years, its impact has remained noteworthy, and it is still recognized for its iconic sound and hit songs from the 1970s. In 1983, the New Jersey-based American R&B and soul group Surface was founded. Vocalist Bernard Jackson, guitarist and keyboardist David Townsend, and bassist, percussionist, and saxophonist David Pick Conley were the original members. Songs like Happy, Closer Than Friends, and their biggest hit, The First Time, helped the group gain popularity in the late 1980s. This song was a huge hit in 1990, peaking at the top of the pop and R&B charts. They stood out in the R&B scene thanks to their well-liked songs, romantic lyrics, and mellow melodies. Notwithstanding their widespread appeal, the group encountered problems and broke up in 1994 as its members chose to concentrate on their individual endeavors and other professions. David Townsend's untimely death in 2005 was a huge loss for both the band and the music industry. Fans of Surface still remember the contributions they made to R&B. The Blackbyrds were a band that formed in Washington, D.C. in 1973 and combined jazz funk and rhythm and blues. Under the direction of trumpeter Donald Byrd, the group featured a number of Howard University students, including Barney Perry on guitar, Alan Barnes on saxophone and clarinet, Joe Hall on bass guitar, and Keith Kilgo on drums and vocals. Known for their funky, smooth music, the group's hits include Walking in Rhythm and Rock Creek Park. Their music, which combined R&B, jazz, and funk, was popular in the 1970s and appealed to a broad audience. The band struggled as music trends changed, despite their early success. The original group came to an end in the early 1980s when many of its members departed to pursue other opportunities. The Blackbyrds never achieved the same degree of success as they had before, despite a brief reunion in 2012 and performances with new members. In 1973, the Los Angeles, California-based soul and R&B group Rose Royce was formed. Their 1976 #1 hit, Car Wash, which also served as the theme song for the film of the same name, catapulted them to fame. Freddie Dunn, trumpet, Victor Nix, keyboards, Kenny Copeland, trumpet vocals, Kenji Brown, guitar vocals, LaQuaint Duke, Job, bass, Michael Moore, saxophone, and Gwen Dickey, vocals, were among the original members. Songs like I Wanna Get Next to You, Wishing on a Star, and others helped the band achieve significant success in the late 1970s, in addition to Love Don't Live Here Anymore. Due to internal issues and changing musical tastes, their fame began to wane in the early 1980s. The band's success further declined after lead singer Gwen Dickey left in 1980 to pursue a solo career. Will Harold Melvin's exit have the same effect as Gwen Dickey's? Let's investigate what transpired next. The Chicago-based soul and R&B group, The Emotions, gained notoriety for their hit song, Best of My Love. The original members of the group were the sisters Wanda, Sheila, and Jeanette Hutchinson, who joined in 1968. They started out as a gospel group before transitioning to disco and R&B. They gained popularity in the 1970s thanks to their catchy songs and silky harmonies. The secret to their success was their partnership with Earth, Wind and Fire's Maurice White. In 1977, Best of My Love became a #1 hit and won them a Grammy. Despite their successes, the group was impacted by changes in the music industry in the 1980s. They required assistance with problems involving record labels and changing musical preferences. Regular performances by the original members had ceased by 1985. The original group, The Emotions, are no longer active, despite the Hutchinson sisters getting back together for a few special performances. Although The Emotions' success and struggles influenced their legacy, what about the Blackbyrds' influence on music? Next, let's examine their story. LaBelle was a groundbreaking all-female group that gained popularity in 1974 thanks to their #1 single, Lady Marmalade. The group, which consisted of Patti LaBelle, Nona Hendryx, and Sarah Dash, was first known as Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells. Their audacious and creative approach revolutionized soul and funk music. Rock, funk, and soul were all combined in LaBelle's sound, and their shows were renowned for their lavish costumes and exhilarating energy. Lady Marmalade, from their album Nightbirds, which was a huge hit, solidified their place in music history. Following a tour in 1976, the group disbanded, with each member focusing on their own career. Sarah Dash became well known as a session singer, Nona Hendryx adopted avant-garde music, and Patti LaBelle became a well-known solo performer. They got back together in 2008 for the album Back to Now, and they kept performing together until 2021, when Sarah Dash passed away. In 1977, the Tongan-American family band The Jets was founded in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Siblings Leroy, Eddie, Eugene, Heine, Rudy, Kathy, Elizabeth, and Moana Wolfgram were among the original members. In the mid-1980s, they rose to fame thanks to hits like Crush on You, You Got It All, and Make It Real. They became well known on music charts and in dance clubs thanks to their music, which fused pop, R&B, and dance. The Jets encountered challenges as the music industry evolved, despite their early success. Their popularity started to wane by the early 1990s, and some members departed to pursue other passions. For example, in 1988, Eugene Wolfgram founded the Duo Boys Club. Over the years, the Jets performed with various players, but they were never able to return to their previous level of success. They struggled to remain relevant in the evolving music scene after their peak had passed. In 1982, the American synth-funk duo The System was formed. The band was made up of keyboardist David Frank and singer and guitarist Mick Murphy. They had an influence on the early 1980s urban music scene and soon gained recognition for their distinctive sound, which combined funky beats with synthesizers. You Are in My System, a hit song from their debut album Sweat, gained popularity in clubs. Don't Disturb This Groove, the pair's biggest hit, peaked at #1 on the R&B charts and #4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1987. They found it difficult to maintain their popularity in spite of this achievement. They broke up in 1989 after their subsequent albums failed to make the same impression. Following that, Mike Murphy and David Frank pursued solo careers. As a producer and songwriter for musicians like Christina Aguilera, David Frank achieved success.